Hey guys, Dirt here. Welcome back to another episode of Pop Culture Network Radio. It is Friday, September 20th, 2013. Yeah, there's our intro music that we don't have. Just imagine it playing there. It's rocking. Sounds great, doesn't it? Okay, well, let's get into the news that we're going to talk about for this week. And, of course, the big stuff last week was PowerCon, and they had some reveals from Matty Collector for the Masters of the Universe Classics line. I know a lot of you guys are super stoked about some of these reveals. We'll talk about them real quick. First of all, let's talk about April 2014. You're going to get your Club Eternia figure of Blade. Now, Blade is the first character from the 1987 film. If you remember the Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren, he was in that movie, and he's one of the, I think there were only two characters from that movie that actually made it into the original Masters of the Universe line. So they're bringing him back for classics, one of the few that they can. They showed him off, and, he looks pretty much what I remember from the movie. I don't know about the actor, if they tried to emulate the actor's actual face. I mean, he was random bald guy, with stuff glued to his head. But regardless, figure looks pretty good. A lot of people are excited for that, and especially they're excited because a lot of people really liked the movie. They were hoping for more, movie-inspired characters, movie versions of stuff. There's always been questions on whether or not they would do any of those, whether or not they could do any of those. Blade and I think Gwildor, is that his name? Little troll, treasure troll that was in the movie with the cosmic key or whatever. Anyway, those two characters were actually made, the movie version characters were made into the vintage Masters of the Universe line. So those two are, open for classics. I guess I would assume that based on how strong this sells, they might try to do other characters, they might not. But I know there's been a lot of talk over the last few years about the legal rights to the movie and who's got the rights and what they can and cannot do. So don't get too excited that you're going to get a movie line, because that is something that they've talked about, but they've also made it very clear that it's very difficult, and it would, you're probably not going to get like Dolph Lundgren He-Man because of all the licensing and everything involved. But regardless, you get him. He comes with 2 swords and a laser whip. And I'm not exactly sure how the laser whip works. I don't remember him having a whip in the movie, but to be honest, it's been maybe a decade since I last saw the movie, so whatever. Let's see. Next up, a May 2014 Club Eternia figure. You're going to get Scorpia. She was one of the Filmation characters making her debut here in the line. She is a Princess of Power bad girl who's one of Hordak's main henchwomen in the classic TV series. Appeared in almost every episode. Let's see here. She'll have pinchers. It says similar to Buzz Off. I'm assuming they're going to take the Buzz Off ones and kind of rework them a little bit here. Her deadly scorpion tail and a Horde crossbow. So there you go, Princess of Power fans. You're going to get her. If you're not a Princess of Power fan, but you're a subscriber, she's a Club Eternia figure. You're still going to get her. May 2014, they are going to have their oversized figure, which will be Battle Lion. Battle Lion was King Grayskull's battle cat, basically. He was featured in the 2000X series, that has come to be known. Armor is removable. He will hit. There were 2 versions of King Grayskull, and it's been sculpted so that either version of King Grayskull can fit on him. It says that Toy Guru, this is on He-Man.org, Toy Guru is looking into seeing if the armor can fit onto Battle Cat so that fans can recreate Battle Cat's 2000X look as well. So it may be possible to take the armor off of Battle Lion and put it on Battle Cat, but apparently that was something that they never thought to check in the entire sculpting process. It never occurred to them that people might want to do that, and they never really looked into it, did anything about it. So it may happen, it may not. If you want to see some pics of those, you can come to thatnewtoysmell.com is the specific toy part of the Pop Culture Network, and our very own Jobber on the forums went to PowerCon, took a whole bunch of photos there, so if you want to check out the gallery, you can do that. Some other news here. Let's talk the other toy news that we have here real quick, since we're on toys. Let's go ahead and talk about Kotobukiya released photos of their new Art FX Plus new 52 DC Comics Batwing figure. This will be coming out in April of 2014. And if you're familiar with the Art FX statues, very well sculpted, very nice looking. Sometimes they get super pricey, sometimes they don't. There's no price listed on this one, but by the looks of it, I'm going to guess he's a $55 to $65 figure. They are sculpted in a pose. You can't, it's not an action figure. It's a staction figure. But he is wearing the red colors, and there's been a lot of calls for people out there that want the blue colors instead. I'm guessing if this sells pretty well, then they will offer the variant of him in the blue later down the line. So don't hold out for the blue. If you're a fan of Nightwing, then just get this Nightwing. Don't try to, hold them hostage, whatever, boycott, whatever. If you want the blue one, you're going to have to buy the red one in order to let them know that there's enough demand to make it. But, I mean, it's an Art FX Plus statue from Kotobukiya. It looks nice. It's, very lifelike, eerily in some ways. And the costume, it is a little too slick looking for my taste. It does have kind of this metallic sheen to it. That's not really necessarily Nightwing's look, but I mean, that's kind of how they do things. It looks fine, overall. That's just kind of a nitpick on my part that it's a little too shiny, but that's, not that big of a deal. All right, let's talk. We've got some Marvel Entertainment news. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be appearing at New York Comic Con starting Friday, October 11th. They are going to have Lola, the car of Agent Phil Coulson, on display. This is the first time ever it's ever going to be on display to the public. So New York Comic Con people will be there. You can get a free Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. mini poster while supplies last. Saturday, 5 p.m. in the main theater, Marvel's head of television, Jeff Loeb, who you probably recognize the name if you're a comic book reader, has written tons of comics over the years. He will be there for a panel on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they will have new footage from the series, exclusive news before it gets out to anyone else. So if you're a fan and you really want to check that stuff out, it will be there. The show premieres Tuesday, September 24th on ABC. So this will be after the premiere. So the show will be a couple weeks in when New York Comic Con comes around. So you're not getting a sneak preview. Excuse me. You're not getting a sneak preview of the show per se. Man, I apologize. I just got like a dust bunny or something jumped into my throat. That was not fun. Excuse me. So, you will not get a sneak preview of the show per se, but you will get a sneak of upcoming episodes, upcoming footage, probably revealing some of the other Marvel characters that are going to be appearing on the show. There have been a couple other characters announced. One thing that I've heard, another news story, was that Agent Carter from Captain America, Sharon Carter, is going to be getting some sort of treatment, I think, as a TV series in development. So she may appear in this show first. Don't know if there's any tie-in there or not with their reveals for, Comic-Con, but it is something to keep in mind, look forward to. All right, the other piece of entertainment news for people who like animated stuff instead of the live-action stuff, they did announce that Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man will make his Disney Channel debut. Right now he's on Disney XD, not main Disney Channel, but they are going to bring him over to the main Disney Channel Saturday, October 5th, 9 p.m., 8 Central. So this will be in the evening, nighttime. And it is a primetime animation special featuring Spider-Man teaming up with Blade. They're going to do this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon series. My kids love the show. It's on Netflix, and they will sit there and watch the same episodes over and over and over and over and over again. So they're pretty excited about this. Besides Blade, because it is a Halloween, theme show, besides Blade, they're also going to have Werewolf by Night, The Living Mummy, Frankenstein's Monster, and Man-Thing. And they are going to be taking on Dracula. Now, all of these characters have appeared in Marvel Comics over the years. A lot of them they haven't really done anything with since, 70s. Occasionally Werewolf by Night will show up in, Spider-Man comic here or there. Man-Thing, whether or not he's a poor man's Swamp Thing or not, you can have that discussion, but he appears every so often in a special one-shot issue or in the back of something else. So they're, pushing some of these characters out there. It makes sense for Halloween to throw some of that stuff out there. But Blade, there had been rumors at one time of a Blade animated series coming out. I don't know if this, that is completely off the table and this is kind of taking its place, or if this is some sort of precursor where they introduce the character and then, for next fall they're going to announce a Blade series. I don't know. Like I said, it's something that's kind of been hinted at for a while. We will just have to wait and see what happens. But if you want to check that out, that is there. Some comic book news. We do have our first look at the Indestructible Hulk Special number 1. And this is up right now, popculturenetwork.com, ineedcomics.com. I Need Comics, of course, is the comic book section of the Pop Culture Network. And in this, the reason why they're putting out a, first look on this, the big deal is that Doc Ock is going to be returning to the Marvel Universe. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with what's been going on in the pages of Marvel Comics with Spider-Man, you probably heard some hubbub about stuff going on with Spider-Man, but you probably didn't, if you don't know now what's going on, then you probably didn't pay that close attention. So here's basically the rundown. Peter Parker and Dr. Octopus basically switched minds. So the consciousness of Peter Parker switched to Doc Ock's body. Doc Ock was in Peter Parker's body. And the reason why this was kind of a big deal is because Doc Ock was dying. So with Peter Parker stuck in Dr. Octopus's body, Dr. Octopus became Spider-Man, and Peter Parker actually died. He died in the body of Dr. Octopus. Now, one of the funny, quirky things that happened, because they did a mind swap, because, this always happens when you do a mind swap, the memories of Peter Parker were still in Doc Ock's brain. It was still in Peter Parker's body where Doc Ock was. It's hard to explain. Regardless, Doc Ock had the ability to get every memory of Peter Parker. Like, he had access to all of Peter Parker's memories. And Peter Parker, his spirit kind of manifested itself within Doc Ock's brain and kind of pushed his memories, implanted them into Doc Ock's mind. And so basically what happened is Doc Ock lived the life of Peter Parker. And everything that happened to Peter Parker, Doc Ock remembered as if he had gone through it. And of course, the key moment being the death of Uncle Ben. Doc Ock having the emotions, all the emotions that were tied into that were now Doc Ock's. So he felt all of that. He felt the responsibility. He felt the need to be the hero. However, because he's Doc Ock, he still remembers everything as Doc Ock. He remembers being bullied as a child. He remembers learning how to fight back, how to create his technology, how to take over the world to, show everybody that he was worthwhile. So what happened was Amazing Spider-Man, the main Spider-Man comic, was canceled, and in its place is a new series called Superior Spider-Man, which is the story of Doc Ock as Peter Parker as Spider-Man. So, now that you have all of that, what's going on is that somehow Dr. Octopus is coming back. He's reappearing in some of these specials happening in October. And so the question is, does Peter Parker come back? Does he push Doc Ock out? Is this Peter Parker somehow reborn in Doc Ock's body? Some villain found a way to bring him back to life? There's a lot of speculation on what the hell is the catalyst for this story, and people don't know. As far as comic book fans go, there's a lot of division on whether or not they like Doc Ock as Spider-Man, whether or not they prefer the original Peter Parker. I like Doc Ock as Spider-Man. I think it's been a fun ride, and I like the idea of the villain trying to redeem himself. Like, he tried to do the ultimate evil, and instead he ended up becoming a hero, wanting to be a hero, wanting to be the good guy, which was something Doc Ock had never had before. So I'm a little, I don't even know, I'm trepidatious about what's going on with the character. I'm afraid that this is the beginning of the end for Doc Ock as Spider-Man, because I have overall enjoyed the storyline, and again, I like the idea of the villain trying to redeem himself. Whether or not it's going to stick, of course, it's the world of comic books. Nothing's going to last forever. That's just how they go. Other piece of news here from Image Comics. The Saviors is a new series debuting in December. And this is from James Robinson. Whoa, what happened there? Something happened to my computer. I don't want that. Let's try this again. From James Robinson. James Robinson is the current writer on Earth 2, which is, it's an okay book. But he was the writer of Starman and The Shade, which are two critically beloved comic series that came from DC. So if you remember any of that. Basically, the story is a guy who's a gas station attendant somehow stumbles into this hidden alien invasion and this, I don't know if it's like a government conspiracy or what it is, but basically there are aliens that are going to invade Earth, and there's this worldwide conspiracy to stand up against them. Now, one of the things is the story starts with this gas station attendant. But one of the things that Robinson says is that he likes the idea of doing a story where anything goes. So just because a character is, the main focus for several issues doesn't mean he's going to remain the main focus forever. He could die, and the story could suddenly shift to another character. That's something that he can do, because it's his story. It's his character, so he can do whatever he wants as far as that stuff goes. So he's looking forward to doing that, and a lot of people they're paying attention to this series because of really when it's coming out. Because describing the series to you, you're probably thinking, all right, that's pretty cool, but I mean, whatever. Comic book, randomly coming out happens all the time. Why is this one a big deal? Well, here's the reason why it's a big deal. This is coming out the week of Christmas. Now, the day after Christmas, I think it is New Comics Day this month. I'll have to double check the calendar, but I believe that's right. And so, normally it's a skip week. Normally there are no comics that come out the week of Christmas. It just makes it easier on everybody. Stores don't have to worry about being open if they want to be closed for the holiday. Shippers will be closed, because of the holiday, stuff like that. Not that big of a deal. But last year, Marvel, DC, and Boom all had select titles. I think it was Marvel, DC, and Boom. Is that right? Anyway, they all had select titles available on the day after Christmas. So this year, Image has decided that they are going to make one book available for the week of Christmas, the day after, and they've chosen this to be their book. Now, Image, they do some books like Walking Dead, which you may have heard of. It's kind of a big deal. Everybody is kind of looking for the next big book to come out of Image. They thought it was going to be Thief of Thieves. It kind of started out that way, but then that one, died off and disappeared. Some people thought it was going to be Manhattan Projects, but that one didn't really take off. They thought it was going to be East of West, but that one didn't really take off. Thought it might be Great Pacific, but that one really didn't do it. So they're trying to figure out what's going to be that next big key book from Image. What's going to be that one where you're going to want to be there for the number one issue. You're going to want it in your collection, and you're going to stick with the series. And this kind of has that same type of feel as Walking Dead, in that sense that there's something going on. Anybody could die at any moment. It's a global thing. Your main character isn't necessarily safe, and the whole world could, shift. Everything could change. And so they have chosen this to be their one and only book that comes out the week of Christmas, which is making everybody kind of, look up, perk up a little bit, pay attention to the fact the Survivors coming the day after Christmas from Image Comics. Looks like it might actually be a big deal. That's really about all I had for the show today here at Pop Culture Network Radio. Not a whole lot else to talk about as far as that goes. Although, one of the things that, we kind of do at the Pop Culture Network is a lot of times we have threads on the message board for people to ask questions and then we answer them. One of the reasons why I'm doing this show for, Pop Culture Network Radio is because our main show, Pop Culture Network, the show, we're not really ready to be doing that as a regular show, but we started it because everybody wanted something from us. So we've done a couple episodes of that, but it's not something that we're cranking out regularly. And because, we do often answer questions, people have been asking questions on the message board that we haven't been answering because we haven't been doing the show. So I thought we might take a look at some of the questions that have popped up in the, really for episode 3 of the show. We might take a look at them here today and see, because some of these are so old, because it's been a while since we've done the show. We do it sporadically just to kind of remind people that we're still there, because we're still trying to get a studio together. We're still trying to get, filming space. So first question here from Clone Yoshi. He actually asked this on August 2nd. That's how long it's been. He says, "Hey guys, with Kick-Ass 2 coming out, I was wondering what your opinions are on the franchise and if you guys are excited for the new film." All right. Well, go back. You can look back on Kick-Ass now. It was a mild success in the box office. Didn't blow everything away. It wasn't a failure. It wasn't a big, potato or anything like that, but it did all right. As far as the franchise goes, I enjoyed the original comic book story when it came out. When they made the movie, I wasn't really that excited for it. Sometimes some of these properties, when they get made into a movie, I'm just, I don't go all gaga, Sometimes it, pays off, like with R.I.P.D. I thought the comic was good, but, watching the stuff for the movie, I wasn't quite sure I should be all excited about that. And I felt kind of the same way about Kick-Ass. Well, Kick-Ass proved me wrong. First movie was great. I really enjoyed it. When they said they were coming back to do the second one, I wasn't that excited about it simply because I wasn't that excited about Kick-Ass 2, the comic series. When the comic series came out, tried reading Kick-Ass 2, and I just could not get into it. There was something about the second series, I think really once it expanded, you had all of these other characters involved, it became less focused, and really the only reason why he was loading up with these characters is so he could kill them off. I mean, you kind of knew that that's what Mark Millar was doing. So, didn't really care about any of the characters, didn't really care about the other stuff that was going on. It wasn't the right focus for me, and I ended up giving up on the second comic book series. So the second movie, I wasn't all that excited about when they announced it. Everything I saw from it, Jim Carrey being a dumbass and doing his whole thing, whatever. So I haven't seen it. I still haven't seen it as of yet. I probably will someday. Sunday afternoon, I may sit down and watch it, but I have not gotten into it, not excited for it, and so overall in the franchise, I like the moment in time that the original captured, but it's just one of those things that I don't really feel the need to go back to and revisit, if that's a fair thing to say. Let's see. Second one from Belgian Lego Man is asking Killin about Legos, so we'll have to let that one wait. Next up from Nasty Will. Let's see. He's talking about Masters of the Universe line being at Big Lots for $10. He basically got 6 figures for the price of 2. They even have Ghostbusters for $10 as well. But my question is, why did this happen? Do you think Mattel has been playing games with people all this time? Oh boy. Why did this happen? Well, there's a number of reasons why these ended up at Big Lots. A couple of things you need to keep in mind when they produce figures like this. There are always going to be production errors when figures are, when you're making anything, toys, books, comic books, CDs, DVDs. I can remember, one time going into the store buying a DVD. I got home and the disc was stamped with the logo of the movie, but it was actually blank. Nothing was recorded on the disc. Sometimes stuff happens. So generally what will happen is they have what they call customer service stock on some of this stuff, where if they make, let's say you make 100, then you keep like 5 of them aside, just in case something happens. You've got this little stock on the side. Someone calls up, says, hey, I just got mine, foot is broken, can I get a replacement? So you have a replacement to send them. Mine was supposed to be delivered. There was no tracking number on it. It's not shown up. It's disappeared. Nobody can find it. They'll send out a replacement. It just kind of happens. So they have a replacement stock. The other thing was, with Masters of the Universe Classics, they kind of had an explosion period, if you can remember. The line started, and people thought it was pretty cool. It was this internet-only thing. And then it kind of hit big for a while. It's kind of shrunk back down the last couple of years because it's kind of saturated the market. People aren't as excited about it now. A lot of B-level characters that nobody cares about. But for a while there, it was pretty big, and it was something that they were trying to continually offer a lot of characters. Some of the characters, He-Man, Skeletor, always available on the website. You can order them. Some of the other characters they would bring back for a second run. Sometimes they just weren't exactly sure how well a character was going to sell. So they said, well, we're going to have so many for subscribers. Typically we have X number of people order it on the day, so we're going to order some extras to kind of fill that order. And they may not have sold as many. They may have had a bunch of subscribers who, they had them set aside for them and the credit cards didn't go through, they tried to cancel or whatever. So they had just this leftover stock. And the thing was, if you're going to offer it online through a web store, you need to have a certain amount of stock available. They need to have however many thousand available because of how quickly they can get hammered, how quickly they get orders, how quickly they can sell out. So they had stock of figures that, they didn't feel like they could put it online and make enough of a profit to justify selling it, and also not have enough to justify basically making it available. They don't. The last thing that they want is for those moments where you put something in your cart and you go to check out and it's sold out. They didn't want to say, hey, we're going to have 13 figures available in limited quantities, and by the time you get in there, you pick one, you go to check out, you fill out your information, it's sold out. Because there just aren't enough of them. So they wanted to liquidate them. They just wanted to get them out of their warehouse, get them gone. They had done small test runs. If you can remember, there were photos sometimes of Walmarts in Southern California near the warehouse that, they made some deal with the local local store, and they had a whole bunch from the warehouse that they were there, selling, just trying to empty out from the warehouse. And they just kind of struck a deal with Big Lots. They made a deal with Big Lots. And this is another key thing about this that you need to keep in mind. They struck a deal with Big Lots several years ago to take leftover stock. If you're familiar with Mattel, they do have their own company branded web store that they keep supply. You can go to like shop.mattel.com, I think is what it is, and you can buy a lot of their hot properties, their toys. And so they have, they always have Dark Knight Rises figures. They have their little tablet figures for the iPad. I forget what those games are called, Tab app or something. No, whatever. They have Man of Steel figures, all that kind of stuff. They have this deal with discount stores, Big Lots, where they will take a lot of that extra stock and just kind of dump it through Big Lots once it's kind of worked its way through the retail chain. Toys R Us isn't ordering anymore to keep in stock. Walmart's not ordering anymore to keep in stock. Target's not ordering anymore to keep in stock. Their website is kind of like the last outlet for it. It's run its course, so they have a deal with Big Lots, and they just kind of dump all that stuff out. And a lot of times it's for Christmas. Well, a bunch of other stuff besides the Matty Collector stuff went to Big Lots. So yes, you had the Ghostbusters, yes, you had the Masters of the Universe Classics, so those were there. But they also had wrestling figures from their WWE line. They also had the iPad Tab app figures. I forget, I can't remember what those are called. Dark Knight Rises, Man of Steel figures. And so it was just part of the lot. They just decided we're going to take these figures and make it part of the Big Lots deal. And they may have had a little bit more than what they would normally use in a situation like that. As far as Masters of the Universe Classics go, they wanted to have enough that they could disseminate them to the stores. Each store would have enough stock that it's worth their while to have them. But then at the same time, it's not really enough that they want to run their own sales on it because of the overhead and stuff like that. So just like they liquidate their other toys that they get built up, they get too many of, Hot Wheels and all of that kind of stuff. It's the same reason why you walk into Big Lots and you can see Transformers from the old Generations line. The same reason, you see a lot of the toys in there, board games. You can walk in there now and get like Cityville Monopoly, which 6 months ago you walked in Toys R Us and you paid $20-$30 for. Now you can walk into Big Lots, you pay $10 for it because they just have a whole bunch left over in warehouses and they just need to get them out, and that's the place they go. So it's not some grand conspiracy. It's just one of those things that happens in the toy industry. And so, a lot of people were upset that they basically felt like they had paid big money to get this stuff through Mattel for Matty Collector, whatever. And now here it is at Big Lots. And they're like, well, next year I'm just going to wait till it shows up at Big Lots. Well, probably won't happen again. All of these figures were from a particular time period within Mattel's history, from the Matty Collector history. You're probably not going to be able to go into Big Lots next year and find more Masters of the Universe Classics because they're making much smaller runs now. They're having a harder time getting subscribers. They're doing stuff, where they have the early access and a lot of the stuff sells out before it even makes it to general consumption. And that's just simply because of, there's smaller supply. They're not making as many. There's not as much overstock. And part of this is the reason why. Because they had enough that they could put this in the liquidation to go to some place like Big Lots. They don't like doing this. And so you're probably not going to see this again. So every time you look at it and you're getting mad, you got to remember there are suits at Mattel who are mad as well because they wanted all this stuff to sell out at MattyCollector.com. And when this stuff is left over and they have to do a liquidation like this, it makes them look at the Masters of the Universe Classics line less favorably internally within the company as well. So kind of keep that in mind. I've gone around on that enough times. I think I stated the same thing over again as many times as possible. So hopefully that answers it for everybody. We can call it a day on that. All right. This last one comes from Sun Adam 9. He says, "Hey guys, do you think that Ben Affleck will make a good Batman?" My answer is no. And I'll take some heat for that. A lot of people will think, no big deal, who cares? I personally have never thought that Ben Affleck was a good actor. People will argue, well, did you see Argo? Whatever. Did you see The Town? Okay. I saw Phantoms. I saw Jay and Silent Bob. I saw Clerks. I saw him in, he did some movie with Jason Bateman where he's a bartender. I can't remember what that movie was. A terrible actor. Like, I'm sorry. You look at him in Argo and you say, well, he's great. Well, he killed the whole Tom Clancy line when he took over as the Jack Ryan. I mean, the guy is not a good actor. And there may be one or two movies you can point to. Well, he wasn't terrible in that. Well, okay, not terrible is not the same as being a great actor. I don't think he's going to be very good, but I don't think he's very good in anything that he does. He just always has that kind of slack-jawed look to him. He always sounds like he's got a cold. I never see him in a movie and believe that he's that character. And people will go, well, Chasing Amy was great. Well, you can like Chasing Amy. That doesn't mean Ben Affleck was a good actor. You know what I mean? You can like movies despite the acting from certain people within them. So, no, I don't think he's going to make a good Batman. And I am not, especially because of who Ben Affleck is, I am not going to buy a ticket to that movie. I love DC Comics. I love when they make comic book movies. But, for the same reason I won't pay to see a normal Ben Affleck movie. I'm not going to pay to see him as Batman because of who he is, because of how terrible an actor he is, and everything like that. So I won't be there for opening night, although I'll pirate it. I'll feel free to get it for free, but I'm not going to pay money to see Ben Affleck ruin Batman yet again. So. All right, and I don't want to rant on it forever, but somebody asked, so I am going to answer. So there you go. If you've got questions you want to ask Pop Culture Network Radio, feel free to go to jointheforums.com, the official forums of Pop Culture Network Radio, or you can send me an email, dirt@popculturenetwork.com. We've got some reviews coming up this week. I've got a DVD review I've got to do for Sapphire and Steel. We got that from Shout Factory. I've been trying to watch as much of it as possible so I could, make sure I do a good review on it, and I'm just about done with it. We got a comic from Titan Comics I'll have to take a look at here in the next couple days. We got Marvel stuff for the next 2 weeks, so hopefully we can get some review stuff done, get those up on the site as well. So, again, feel free to ask if you've got any questions, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.